Nigel Farage is a member of the European Union Parliament hailing from England, and he is now running for the Parliament as well in England. And we've got him for another 35 minutes with us. We really appreciate him joining us. He's a very busy man. Okay, sir, I interrupted you when you were getting onto the point about the fact that this is dictatorial. And then I wanted to ask you, are we beginning to get headway? Are we winning? And being around these European Union members for close to a decade, I mean, they're openly on television saying dictatorial world government. What do they say behind the scenes? Go ahead, Mr. Farage.
Right. Let's just consider what the concept democracy is. Now, there's an old saying, an old Westminster saying, and I'm going back now to the English Civil War in the 17th century, right? And the whole point about electing people to our House of Commons, to our Parliament in Westminster, was that no Parliament may bind its successor. All right? Now, that may be old-fashioned English, but what it actually means is there's nothing in a proper democratic Parliament, there is nothing that one government or one Parliament does that cannot be undone by any successive government or Parliament, right? That's why we have elections, for goodness sake. Now, the whole point about European Union, for example, is we currently face a mass of regulations that are going to do severe damage to the City of London, to our financial services sector, where I spent 20 years of my working life. And once those regulations have gone through, it won't matter a damn whether David Cameron becomes the Prime Minister or Gordon Brown gets re-elected, because there's nothing we can do as voters in Britain to change those European laws. So that is an absolute, total denial of democracy.
And it turns your parliament into a vestigial, ceremonial dress of the European Union.
Yeah, the whole thing has become a complete charade, because 75% of our laws are made somewhere else, and that's before they got this new European Constitutional Treaty passed, and now we're told that even in areas like foreign policy, we can't do our own thing, we'll have to do it at a European level. So it is literally, being part of a European Union, this European Union, is the death of democracy. I believe the very same principles apply to these agreements that started back at the time of Kyoto and could be coming out of Copenhagen over the next period of time. Because if we sign up to a series, if Obama signs up and if Britain signs up to a whole set of targets 20, 30 years hence from now, then by definition, you've broken that principle of no parliament may bind its successor. Now, of course, we're always told that, we have to operate together, we have to operate at a European level or a global level to deal with the CO2 crisis or the war on terror or whatever else it may be, but that is a complete denial of democracy. And I've been fighting and making these points, and during the last few years, we've had the French in a referendum say no, we've had the Dutch in a referendum say no, we've had the Irish in a referendum say no. The British, of course, who were promised referendums all the way through, have just been denied them. But as I start to make these arguments, I can see the fear in the eyes of the leaders of this European Union project. I sit on the front bench of this Parliament. I'm literally within feet of these people that are doing this to our democracy, and I can see the fear in their eyes when I make these arguments, because they know what I'm saying is right. And their response to me has been truly extraordinary. And there are clips that you could find on the EU Parliament website. I've been called mentally ill because of what I stand for, which, of course, is very reminiscent, isn't it, of what...
Well, they've said you're a naked monkey up in a tree, and then when you try to defend yourself, you're told you can't name call. So it's like some Kafkaesque Soviet apparatchik court where it's la-la land. They can call you names, but you can't have free speech. You can't criticize the EU, but they can call you a naked monkey. By the way, that clip is coming up. Stay there. Nigel Farage is our guest.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade. We are the GCN Radio Network.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Nigel Farage is our guest, UK member of the European Union Parliament, the leader of opposition to the New World Order in government in Europe. This is the man who is eloquently every week standing up to these people. Now they just turn his mic off, call him names, and then don't let him respond. The United Nations all over Copenhagen has their armed police on the streets declaring it a UN zone. At accredited press events, if you ask Al Gore or the IPCC head about ClimateGate, you are drug out at gunpoint. I mean, these are authoritarians. These are the children of Joe Stalin, of Mao Zedong, of Adolf Hitler. And when I say that, I mean it. I've watched them. They want control, and they want to squash all dissent. Nigel Farage, you've been around them for 9 years with these vipers. How would you describe them?
They are truly dreadful people. And I don't by that mean I disagree with their point of view. They are truly dreadful people. They will stop at nothing to get their goal. I remember a nice little anecdote. On the night of the Dutch referendum a few years ago on the EU Constitution, and the result came out and 2/3 of the Dutch had said, no, we don't want this. And I was with about 50 skeptics in the European Parliament, in the members' bar, having a bit of a party, celebrating what I hoped would be the triumph of democracy over bureaucracy. And at that moment, a German MEP, a guy called Mr. Leinen, walked past me. And he'd been one of the authors of this constitution. And I said to him, oh, Joe, I said, do you want to join us for a drink to celebrate democracy in the Netherlands? And he looked at me. He said, no, I won't accept your drink. He said, and anyway, you enjoy your little victory tonight. He said, we have 50 different ways to win. And it was chilling, because it just about summed it up. There is literally nothing that will stop these people from achieving their goal. They are fanatics. You know, we got rid of Mussolini and Hitler. We got rid of what was seen to be those extreme nationalisms. Well, we've got a new one now, and it's called the European Union, and it's every bit as dangerous as those things that went before.
I was reading the Treaty of Rome, 1957, that really established the EU. It states that by stealth. And they talk about, oh, we've learned from Napoleon and Hitler not to do this militarily. We're going to do this via bureaucracy and taxation and creeping. This is a premeditated system funded by mega-rich that want monopolies, using communists as their henchmen who just want a piece of the middle class's pie. I mean, this is a truly piratical group from my study who know they're criminal. I mean, this is a very wicked group. How many of them are just true acolytes who believe in collectivism, and how many of them are true pirates?
Well, that's always a tough one to answer, but I can tell you. I mean, you know, we've had for the last 5 years one of the European commissioners, a man from Hungary, Mr. Kovacs, who was for many, many years the right-hand man of the dictator, Mr. Kadar, in Hungary, a fully paid-up member of the Soviet Communist Party. He's been an EU commissioner for the last 5 years. Worked directly for the Soviets before the wall came
Sir,
down.
can you start over? Something cut out your phone line. Go back to the communist commissars now in the EU.
Yeah, of the 27 EU commissioners that we have now, And these are the people with the real power in Europe. They're not elected, they're appointed, but these are the people who have the sole right to propose legislation that is effective in all our countries. 6 of those work directly for the Soviet communist regime before the wall came down. And that isn't going to improve particularly because we've got Mr. Van Rompuy, who's going to take over as the European president. But the new foreign minister that's taking over is a lady called Baroness Ashton from Britain. And from 1980 to 82, she was the treasurer of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament in Britain, a campaign that wanted us to unilaterally disarm, and an organisation that was directly in receipt of funds from the Communist Party of Great Britain.
Stay there.
These are the people.
Stay there, Nigel Farage, a member of Parliament. We have that clip of where you confront them coming up. We'll go right back to you.